Hey everyone, welcome to this month's edition of the NeQter Town Hall. It's spooky season, falls upon us, Q4. So really just looking to see what we got coming on to wrap up the year. Q3 was very busy for us. We had a lot of nice updates come out, really improving and continually adding to stuff as both a company and on the software side. So really good to see. Personally, for me, autumn is my favorite time of year. So hopefully we're going to be going into the holiday season with some ecosystem updates, some NeQter updates, and hopefully everyone has been having a good year so far. And not too many other, hurricanes ruin everyone's plans. So for the town hall today, we're going to be rehashing 219, and we're also going to be looking at 220, which should be coming out shortly. So we'll be reviewing. We're just kind of putting finishing touches on that. So I'll be able to discuss that today. In case anyone, missed it, gonna definitely be rehashing ecosystem updates when it comes to CMMC. And it's been busy for me personally and the team as we've had some trade shows past few weeks, and going to be wrapping up with a couple more events to cap off the year. So going to be talking about that as well. And then again, of course, any questions, let us know what you're thinking of. So just to kind of rehash the last update, 219.3, one of the things that we added is a vulnerability delta report. This is actually my personal favorite vulnerability scanner report that we have. Just because it highlights and shows you the differences between the most recent scan and the previous scan. So you select which task that you want to see. So if you have a full network scan, you're going to be able to specify that, or if you have different ones, you can specify, and it's going to show you most recent versus last time it ran. So if it's daily scan, today versus yesterday, monthly, today versus last month. And it's going to break down for you the overview of kind of what's changed, what's new, what's unchanged, what was mitigated, and just a nice view in the Excel format here that we have. Outside of that, we also had Spur Scorecard report, which I like just because it allows you to break down at the control level. So when you're in the platform, it tackles it from the assessment objective level. So you got to scroll and scroll and scroll on that Spurs report. But this one is a little bit more condensed, so you can see it at the control and at the family level. And this is going to be at the system security plan level. So if you have multiple system security plans, you're going to be able to specify which one you kind of want to take a look at. And then we also added a CrowdStrike integration. This is going to be a syslog based and requires the Falcon SIM connector VM from CrowdStrike that is self-hosted, but you're going to be able to pull in those logs, gets its own treatment, gets its own dashboard, just like everything else. And lastly, with 219.3, just to kind of speed through and get to the new stuff, secure syslog, and we've actually leveraged this already in the newer update that's coming out 220, where secure syslog, we're able to pull in so port 6514. It's going to be the same. So if you already have a system that's pushing regular syslog, say you got a Sonic wall, it's pushing already to NeQter, but you want to turn on secure syslog, It's going to be the same form and function of going in and just selecting that vendor from the dropdown, and NeQter is pulling in both. So you'll have to, of course, allow firewall rules or network rules on your side to make sure that 6514 can get to NeQter. And if it's external, you'll have to make sure that it can go from external to internal to get to NeQter. But we're able to support that now. And we recently added in Sentinel-1 to update 220. So with update 220, that will be coming out shortly. Sentinel-1, as I just mentioned, so secure syslog output from Sentinel-1, pushing right into your NeQter. There's going to be in the inputs, so settings, inputs, and syslog. There's going to be Sentinel-1 as an option in the dropdown now. Again, port 6514. And one of the things I'll tell you about the Sentinel-1 integration is that the logs that Sentinel-1 is aggregating and parsing and pushing out are heavily kind of pre-parsed and reduced on the Sentinel-1 side. So they're only going to be reporting on outcomes. So, for example, if there was a detected virus and an attachment, and it cleaned the virus and quarantined the PC, and then everything got cleaned and it's good to go, that will be reported as an event that said, hey, these 2 or 3 things happened in succession, everything's good to go. It's not going to log every time that it scans for something or and doesn't find anything. It's not going to give you kind of those negative logs. It's going to give you anything that's kind of positively tracked, and then which is nice. You're not getting a flood of useless information. It's kind of already curated on the Sentinel-1 side. So that's going to be really nice. So we added that in. Additionally, we've cleaned up reports a bit, made it a little bit nicer in terms of the UI and some of the things that you can do. And a lot of these have been requested by our users. So we're listening and we're fixing or improving based upon feedback. First item of business in the report enhancements is going to be when you generate an on-demand report, you can email it right then and there after the report's generated. That's been something that's been requested of us. So you go in, click on on-demand report, say, I want it now. Please send it to my email, or I'll save it off, but I want to send it to my colleague. Well, you can go in and deliver the report to an email upon generation. Run report, sends that email. An additional report enhancements that we added, same kind of vein as the last one. When you're setting up a report schedule, you can manually trigger sending that scheduled report to an email just to test it, just to see what the output's going to look like. Before, of course, when you set up that recurring schedule and you email the report and you add those email destinations, it will still send, upon that scheduled report once a month. Once a month, we'll send those emails. But this is more of so if you have a scheduled report that's recurring, but maybe you want an ad hoc one and you don't want to have to go and make copy it in an on-demand report, well, you can just go into reports, report schedules, and say, hey, send me this report now, run it now, send me an email. So we added that. That was another request that we had. And lastly, and this is really nice in my opinion, kind of made the on-demand report area a little bit more structured and organized. So with the flyout, it has collapsible modules. So if you don't care about compliance or you don't care about general and you just want vulnerability broken out, you can do that. So it just kind of cleans it up, organizes it a little bit better, a little bit nicer. So that's a report enhancement that we added in. And so outside of that, one of the things that we added as well, so this is going to be more for larger companies that have multiple users, but we just added a nice little search function to the user management. So if you need to look for a user and change permissions, now that's in settings, users, and you're able to search. So outside of enhancements there, wanted to just highlight the latest agent version is 2.19.0. So if you have an older agent on Windows or what have you, the latest is 2.19. And we've been updating any agent changes or just reiterating agent version in our changelog. Just feedback again that we wanted to add. And one of the things that we were able to do recently was make sure we have added support for RHEL versions 8 and 9. So if you have Red Hat, because we had previously had 7, but now that's deprecated. So RHEL 8 and 9, we have agents for that, as well as we revisited the Ubuntu agents for Ubuntu 20 and 22. We previously had the Ubuntu 18 agent, and we hadn't gotten feedback from clients about variants or hey, this is working just fine on 20 and 22. There were some packages that needed to get changed or updated to make sure that everything was running smoothly. So anything Ubuntu running smoothly, 18, 20, and 22 with this recent update here. So RHEL and Ubuntu are firing on all cylinders with this recent agent update. So if you need these agents, they are downloadable, or if you have any questions, please reach out and submit a ticket. So that's everything on the NeQter side with current version 2.19.3 and future version 2.20. Should be 2.20.1, but might be 2.20.2. We'll see as we go along. And just wanted to rehash some of the items related to ecosystem updates again, because last time I had it where I said, oh well, it should be coming, but it already came out in terms of one of these things. So when it comes to, just to rehash, the 32 CFR CMMC program rule update. So by all accounts, through the grapevine, this already should have come out. It's currently caught up in as everything with government, of course, a bureaucratic process. But by all accounts, this should have been out weeks ago. The CMMC 32 CFR final published rule. And upon published, there's going to be a delay of 60 days before it is effective or go live. So, things keep, sliding a little bit, but it's, by all accounts, all buttoned up and again, should have been out already. So within the coming weeks, this will be coming out. And I mean, maybe they're timing it for Christmas. Kind of cruel. It's kind of like having coal in your stocking, but this will be out. And with the time delay, 60 days, we're looking at December now. We're looking at January for this go live for 32 CFR. And just as a rehash of what 32 CFR is this is going to be the go live of the CMMC program. So with go live, you can go and get a cert officially from a C3PAO, have it be certified by the Cyber AB, and get that level 1 or level 2 certification. Well, level 1 is self-attested, so level 2 really. So when that goes live, don't be surprised. People in your email, people are giving you a call that says, hey, where's your cert? And you can say, hey, well, like the only time I could get it was right now. And and the C3PAO I've been talking to is backlogged for 3 months. And then they say, well, don't care, where's your cert? So that's going to start happening. You can go and get your certification. So if you haven't already, go and find, and you can absolutely reach out to NeQter. We're partnered with several, or we're familiar with, or rather can kind of steer you in the way of, maybe don't work with this C3PAO. We've seen them assessed. This one is a little bit more either lenient or more identifiable with, your type of company or the different programs or services or technologies that you're using, because you don't want to get a C3PAO that's experienced in AWS when you have 365 or Microsoft or vice versa. So I would start having that dialogue now with C3PAOs to say, hey, can I get on your calendar? Because we've seen it where there are C3PAOs that say, I'm booked for the next 4 months. I've already set up appointments with people upon program go live that we can start doing this. So definitely start having those conversations now. If you are ready and you want to, spring sometime, have a certification under your belt for CMMC, now's the time to have those conversations. So this should have already been out, and it will be out shortly. So hopefully, next town hall on my side, I can say, well, it's out. Much like I had already kind of discussed the 48 CFR of, well, it should be, out in August. Lo and behold, it was out August 15th. The 48 CFR program rule update, which is the rule that will allow the DoD to legally put CMMC as a award requirement for all contracts. So they'll be able to write in the margins, say, hey, this is required now. So it was submitted in May, went through its process, was published August 15th, and is now within a 60-day comment period, which is ending October 15th. So 2 weeks, comments are over. If they even read them at this point, the train's left the station with the CMMC rule. And based upon the average review process timetable that we see with these rules, it's going to likely be Q3, Q4 of next year, 2025, that this gets deployed. And the requirement, it's going to have that same, upon the rule being finalized, 60-day effective date, from. So that's kind of it could come out in the summer, but then it has that 60-day, time delay of implementation. The only thing, and I read the rule, the only thing that was kind of curious to me or I found to be interesting was they wrote in language in the proposed rule that said it allowed the discretion of contract officers to put the requirement in prior to official rule release date. So even though it will come out and it will have a kind of effective 60-day, kind of delay, they gave leverage, or they gave quote unquote discretion for contract officers to say, nope, I want it in right now, and I want it in these contracts, and I want it in all my contracts. And, just like, Oprah giving out cars, everyone gets a 48 CFR, everyone gets a DFARS requirement, everyone gets CMMC. So that's definitely going to happen, because I haven't seen a lot of discretion when it comes to pushing different requirements down. So that's what we're looking at. Things are moving as kind of projected, and so we'll keep you posted on our end with everything. I did get one question from somebody a couple weeks ago, and it was kind of around, you definitely want to plan for CMMC and make sure that you have a system security plan in the lens of CMMC, and that is, kind of how you're going to be evaluated upon certification time. However, I want to stress that currently you're going to have that kind of dueling banjos between NIST and CMMC, because NIST is required right now. You could still have a freak, DIVCAC assessment in between the period that CMMC becomes enforced. So you want to make sure that you're still keeping tabs on and keeping your NIST system security plan and terminology and policies and everything up to date, and then keeping an eye to the future of CMMC to have that SSP. So within NeQter, if you have a NIST system security plan, you can copy that forward into CMMC. There is a conversion mechanism for that. So if what I've kind of been saying is, if what you should do right now is keep chugging along on NIST, and then keeping that up to date. And what we have with the conversion, with if you're tracking your system security plan in here, when you convert an SSP, you'll just go and you'll select so I'll actually just kind of show you right now. You select that NIST 800-171 with AOs, and then we'll just call this new CMMC plan. And I'll set myself as the owner here. And you'll just select CMMC version 2 as the framework. And just make sure, very important, you select level 2 for the maturity level. And when we convert, it's going to copy all of our work over into CMMC, all of the values and everything. One thing it will do is it's going to mark everything as, quote, needs review. So it's going to say, hey, you have 320 responses that you need to go through. So it's a 1-to-1, 110 controls and 320 assessment objectives, moving to 110 controls, 320 assessment objectives. And the only reason I've been saying that is just because on the NIST side, it has that SPRS module. You're still being required to, keep SPRS up to date. Out of the, you want to make sure you have getting to a 110. Of course, the floor is negative 203. You don't want to be in the negative with SPRS scoring. So if you want to keep up to date with NIST, maintain that SPRS score, stay on NIST until you kind of got to do that switch over. Because once you do the switch, the system security plans are going to be maintained separately in NeQter. So there's not going to be any syncing back and forth. In the language of the 48 CFR rule, the 32 CFR rule, DoD is going to give CMMC the same SPRS treatment. So, when you are kind of doing either level 1 CMMC or level 2 CMMC until you get that cert, they're going to be tracking CMMC progress in SPRS as well. It's going to be the same math. It's going to be the same SPRS calculation. So on NeQter's side, we're going to be copying and pasting that module in. It's just not official yet. That might be stripped out. I don't see it, but we want to wait until that's kind of hard coded in there. Then we'll add it and update it on the software side. So kind of to rehash Kevin's question here. So we can convert but not share between SSPs. Yes, they're going to be maintained as separate SSPs. And that's just because the reason we're doing that is because if there's a change to either framework, we want to be able to, update it and not have it be tethered. Because as we all know, with NIST 800-171 Rev 3, there's very little similarities between Rev 2. There's more differences than there are things that stayed the same. So we want to decouple it just because of the way that the values are stored in NeQter, so we can continually make them backwards compatible rather than being tethered to a very rigid kind of storage method. So that's everything there. I've probably have been beating a dead horse on that front, but it's it's at the same time very slow moving and then very fast. Nothing happens for a long time, and then everything happens at the same time. So just want to make sure everyone's up to date on everything. And kind of like I just talked about with Rev 3, because it's such a massive change. DoD, of course, released in May. They said, hey, don't definitely keep an eye on it, and we're definitely going to be requiring it later. But as of right now, keep doing what you're doing. Rev 2 of NIST 800-171, pairing with CMMC version 2, level 2. Keep doing what you're doing. They updated that 7012 language in May, so it's hard coded currently to Rev 2 with this official class deviation. So that's everything Snooze Fest, NIST, and CMMC to talk about. In terms of more fun things, we recently had gone kind of end of August to San Diego, Navy Gold Coast. We got a new backdrop. Was pretty fun setup, and went and had a lot of good discussions with different providers out there, and saw a few clients. And San Diego's always a good time. Had a bunch of tacos, I will admit. And more in our neck of the woods, we had a recent show down in Newport, SNIDIA, or the Southeast New England Defense Industry Alliance Innovation Days in the Newport, Rhode Island area. Was again, saw a lot of clients, had a lot of good conversations. And the talks are always interesting. But one of the things that we really had a good time at was our, I have a large hand in this, the NDIA New England kind of premier event, cybersecurity event, September 10th at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, where the Patriots play. So always cool to be a sponsor there. And then we helped host the after party, which was, as you could see, very packed, very fun. A lot of great. The nice thing about this year's event, we did have some conversations about compliance and CMMC, but there was a lot of great talks on AI, other government regulations and enforcement. One on quantum that, if anything, was a little too technical, but enjoyed by all. So was a great event. And one of the things too is, because we had such a great turnout, especially from sponsors, we're going to be looking at next year having even more kind of NeQter guest tickets. So if people want to attend, either at a reduced ticket or kind of a free ticket to attend, you're in the regional area of Massachusetts, definitely reach out. I'm going to be coordinating that. We're already kind of looking towards planning next year, so definitely keep pace with us on that. Had a great time in September, and moving towards kind of what we got going on this month, next month. So for October, there's the Maine Space Conference, kind of a new conference. Maine is trying to kind of plant their flag for being a major aerospace hub the next 5 years or so. 2030 is the goal. And it's a couple elements of like small launch, but they're really, really focusing on pre and post-launch activities, mostly in the pre-launch category of having manufacturing capacity, testing, stuff like that. So it was news to me kind of last year. I didn't, you don't really envision Maine as a kind of a launch hub, but they have a lot of good infrastructure, and in terms of rail and ocean and manufacturing capacity. So was very eye-opening for me. So we're going to be kind of going there and sponsoring this year. There was a lot of cool stuff last year on the James Webb telescope for sure. So if you're up in that area, it's going to be in downtown, kind of Portland area, and it's going to be very engaging. So we're going to be there. It's a little bit of a change of pace, but honestly, kind of cool to see a regional player take such big strides. And additionally, so NeQter's going to be doing, so in November, we're actually going to be co-hosting a webinar, kind of just to feature the integration with Prevail. So I'm going to get more information on that and probably talk about that the beginning of next month, the next month's town hall. But one of the things that we're going to be doing at the end of the month, day before kind of spooky Halloween, October 30th, is so this is a Prevail and AWS virtual summit. And NeQter's just going to be sponsoring that to kind of highlight, say, hey, if you're using this and you want a sim, NeQter is supporting that. So put the link in here. Can definitely put the link in chat as well for this kind of Prevail focus event that we're going to be kind of sponsoring at the end of this month. It's virtual, so you can do it from the safety of your home, and that's going to be on the 30th. So outside of that, I think that's a wrap, barring any questions or anything anyone wants to kind of specifically cover. And then, of course, Nick, I don't know if there was anything that you've been seeing lately that you think would be good for me to reference.
I think most of the questions I've been getting lately kind of covered. You did a very good job, especially just kind of wrapping up what the space kind of looks like. I think that's what most of the questions I've been getting have pertained to. So, we have a couple of conversations to have outside of this, just from some messages I've been getting. But outside of that, I think we're pretty much good to go here.
Awesome. Yeah. Definitely been keeping an eye on kind of the ecosystem updates, because again, it's been years of, is anything happening? It's just been caught up in rulemaking, and then a rule is out, comment period, a rule is out, proposed rule. So definitely trying to keep pace with kind of what we got going on in the ecosystem. And I really think that unfortunately, good or bad, that the jets are going to get turned on going into January of next year. So definitely going to keep pace with, okay, well, when's 32 coming out? And then 48's already kind of making its way through and going to go final next year. So it's definitely going to be a lot happening. And unfortunately, because things are going to heat up, everyone just be on the lookout for things that are too good to be true, or there's going to be a lot of companies looking to come into the market with not the best of intentions, and charging a lot of money for not a lot of progress towards your meaningful compliance goals. So definitely stay on high alert. And of course, as a reminder, it's great to get consultants and great to get consultancies from, RPs and RPOs and what have you. But in terms of companies that can actually, of course, assess you or have the experience in assessment and might be more, compelling or have more detailed measures towards getting compliant, it's going to be those certified third-party assessment organizations or C3PAOs. So definitely vet, the companies that you're working with, and especially when it comes to kind of matchmaking with the C3PAO, you're going to want to heavily vet them, kind of like I mentioned, on your type of company, the type of CUI that you handle, your type of infrastructure, the types of technologies that you use. Definitely make sure that they are in the know and well versed on, what you're doing, and aren't going to be, for lack of a better word, malicious in failing you on stuff where are they failing you because of how they interpret the world? Are they failing you because if you do a pre-assessment, they want, follow-on consultative work? So the more findings they have, the more they can, fix. So definitely just keep an eye out and, make sure that you're evaluating your provider as much as they're evaluating you. So it's definitely going to get, scary in the coming months with, companies that, if, age-old rule of this sounds too good to be true, probably is. So definitely make sure that, your finances are spent wisely, and, you're not dealing with any, I was talking to someone, they came up with the term kind of compliance cowboy, or they're not just failing you just to fail you on certain stuff. They're both rowing in the right direction and looking to actually get compliant and certified. So kind of a PSA, and everyone kind of probably knows that, but just definitely be on the lookout for new money coming into the industry, because it's going to happen. It's happening right now. So just be vigilant as we go from this year into next year with all of this stuff. So yeah. And just want to make sure there's no other questions or comments. Let me actually just real quick, because I don't think I had it available, so I'll just drop this in the chat for anyone who would wish to attend the Prevail event, or sign up, or just learn more about it. And as we kind of so our target for the other webinar that we're going to be doing, let me actually just double check so I don't say anything incorrectly. So yeah, we're looking at November 19th at 1:00 for the Prevail joint webinar with NeQter. Kind of a 1-2 punch, and we'll be shoring up details on that in the coming weeks, and we'll definitely be able to talk more concretely about it as we hit beginning of November. So with that, I think we're probably good to wrap up. So everyone have a great, spooky month. Please, if you make a jack-o'-lantern, send me an email of it. I am very curious on your creativity. And any questions, of course, you can reach out to our support team. You can reach out to Nick, or you can reach out to me. So everyone have a great rest of your month, and we'll look to talk to you kind of turkey time in November. So with that, we'll look to wrap up. Thanks, everybody.